Hey guys, it's M4J here, and welcome back to M4J Transport here on Cities in Motion 2. Episode 30 is upon us. And before I get started, don't be deceived by my upbeat voice. This episode is going to be a lot slower than normal episodes. It's going to be a lot more sort of sitting here just looking at things, naming things, stuff like that, without giving too much away. The reason being is anyone who follows me on Twitter, you will have seen me tweet this Monday, I think it was actually, or maybe Tuesday, saying I've been a bit under the weather, and that is still the case. It's sort of a come and go type thing. I'm not really sure what it is at this point, but it's made streaming and video making quite difficult. At least to do this kind of video, where it's me. This is live, by the way. Like, you know, up, down, left, right. I've probably synced that up wrong, so you'll be seeing things after I've said it, but it's made doing this quite difficult, to be perfectly honest with you. So you will have to bear with me a little bit. If this episode ends quite abruptly, or if there's a sudden cut, that will be why. It's one of these things. It's not a stomach bug or anything like that. I won't go into too graphic detail, but I mean, there's not much graphic to go on with, actually, because like I said, it's not a bug or anything like that, or at least it doesn't appear to be. It's more I'll be sat at my desk, or I'll be sat watching something, and the room will just start spinning. Now I've heard, I'm not going to self-diagnose myself, I'm not one of those people, but I've heard of different things that it perhaps could be. But until I get it officially confirmed, I'm not going to speculate. But like I said, it does make video making quite difficult. So if there are sudden jump cuts in this episode, or if it ends quite abruptly, please don't complain. You now know the reason why. I'm looking at this highway. I'm really not happy with how that is. I might have to rebuild this whole junction at some point in the future. Maybe sink the highway underground here and connect it up via a new junction to the east-west highway that still hasn't been finished, by the way, but will be in the very near future. So yeah, as I've already alluded to at the start of this episode, we are going to be slowing things down, and we're going to be doing some renaming. Which I will get on with in just a second. I'm just going to reformat the naming suggestion sheet in line with all the other ones that I've been doing recently. There you go. So it'll look a little bit better when it's on the website now as well, hopefully. I like the suggestions. I have been checking this quite regularly. Don't comment on my videos saying, hey, I left a suggestion, add it immediately. Someone did do that, and please don't do that. I said in the first episode where I started looking at these suggestions that I will be adding them periodically throughout the series. The only reason I'm doing it today is because I don't have the energy or the time, shall we say, to do a huge big build, which is what I was originally planning for this week's episodes. You know, even Monday's episode ended up being a follow-on to Friday's episode, but this episode was meant to be another big build, and then next Monday would have been another look back at that big build and rinse and repeat, so on and so forth. Although I did work out, because it's episode 30 today, next week is technically my week off, because I have a week off after every 10th episode. So I will definitely be doing that. I will be having a week off next week, because I think I need a week to just figure out what's going on with me, and then I can make videos again professionally. So, don't comment on videos saying, hey, I added a suggestion. There's only one new suggestion out of the 26 that you read out last time, but I'm expecting you to put my suggestion on there. Because you might not use those words, but that's effectively what you're saying. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Because if people are going to do that, I'm just going to turn off the suggestions. Because, you know, people assume I just sit at my desk waiting for their ideas all day, and that's not the case. Anyway. I do like these suggestions. Again, it's the same names that I am seeing on the list. Those of you who are commenting and leaving suggestions, or using the suggestion sheet and leaving ideas, don't let that put you off. I'm not saying that you're not allowed to, because believe me, I like that you're doing it. This is a call to arms from everyone else, essentially. If you have an idea and you want to berate me in the comments about it, why don't you actually go and put it on a sheet where I've given you the voice, the ability to share that voice, instead of just not doing that and then trying to ask me directly. Because I mean, I take a tough stance on people, and that's one of the areas where I feel like it's justified at times. Don't feel like you can skip the queue. You know, put your name and your idea in the same place as everyone else, and it will get treated the same as everyone else. Try and jump the queue and just leave your idea, and your idea will get ignored. You know, simple as. And I might be coming across like I'm in a bad mood today. I'm not actually. I mean, I'm okay. I'm in an okay mood. Let's put it that way. But I do get a bit wound up when I see things like this because it does annoy me. And I kind of want to stamp it out now before it becomes a real issue. I also like the feedback that people have given for some of the ideas that I have used. So the one that I haven't used yet, but was planning on using today was, and I'm going to say it my way first, and then I'm going to explain it a little bit better. So Viscount Road from Young Wee is a suggestion. Now in the UK, it's spelt V-I-S-C-O-U-N-T, Viscount, but I believe in the UK it's a, I wouldn't say it's a regal title, but it's one, I think the Queen's cousin, twice removed or something, had the title of Viscount, but we say Viscount. I think Viscount is actually a French pronunciation. I'm not 100% sure. I'm literally going off a memory from a history lesson that happened about 10 years ago, and believe me, I feel old when I say things like that. So yeah, Young Wee has put a little thing saying, same as above, referring to the one that he put above, which was simple stop for any mode of transport. And then, because I mentioned the pronunciation last time I brought it up in an episode, he says, although the road title is pronounced with a silent S, the S is pronounced in the road name as far as he knows. I'm going to keep calling it Viscount Road. I think it's one of these tomato-tomato kind of scenarios where we're both saying the same word, we're just saying it slightly different. I do actually have... I should probably move this around a little bit more as well, so you're not just staring at the same view. I do have a problem with some people's pronunciations of words. I was watching a video quite recently referring to Johnny English, because the new Johnny English film's coming out this week, I think it is, or it's already out, something like that. And the person doing the narration of the video referred to the character of Boff as Bo, I think he called him. And again, technically, he's not wrong. I think B-O-U-G-H is pronounced Bo in most contexts, but in the context of the character, it's pronounced Boff. And I was grinding my teeth watching that video because he just wasn't saying it right, even though he wasn't saying it wrong. It's one of those things. So yeah, Viscount, Viscount, we'll say both. We'll say both. But we are going to use that as our first suggestion. So simple stop for any mode of transport, Viscount Road. Now that we've got a lot more going in this city than the last time that I did the names, which doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like we've expanded that much, but actually we have. We have quite a bit. I feel like we need to name some stuff over here in City West, though. So I think Viscount Road is actually this road here. Looks like a good candidate for me. So you are going to be Viscount Road West, because you're the west bout. Okay. Yeah, the number is already assigned, you're right. Well, what does it want me to do? I don't get what it wants me to do. 650 then. Really? So what number is it? 284. I'm going to just put 999 in for now. 284. 285. Alright, you're stop number 999 then. And this one, you're currently stop 285. You're going to be Viscount Road East. Well, you didn't complain. I don't want to moan at stuff today, but I feel like I'm going to have to at this rate. So is it because you were a tram stop and now you're a bus stop? Maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's weird because it's a hybrid stop. It accepts both forms of transport. Anyway, Viscount Road is done. So I'm going to mark that off as black. I might give it a more realistic number in the future. So we had ones like Tu Kwa Wan, Summerhill, West Hill, Gangseo, Black Creek, Highland Creek, which I was going to wait until City West was a bit more developed. Also, don't leave gaps between ideas. Just put your idea in the next available box. is what I will say. And I will say this out loud because I've said it in the notes on the sheet, but I feel like I need to say it out loud as well. You are not allowed to name a stop or an interchange, or, well, actually, let me start again. You're not allowed to name a hub or an interchange if you're not a supporter on Patreon. You are not allowed to name a stop after anything other than, you know, if you want to name it after a place in Hong Kong, which is what Young Wee has done with Tu Kwa Wan. I'm probably butchering that as well. Is it To Kwa Wan? Tu Kwa Wan? Whichever of those it is. That's fine. But, you know, naming it after yourself is a definite no-no. Even if you're a supporter on Patreon, I might take exception to that, depending on what the name is, of course. Like, for example, I saw today Factorio. I didn't know this. I can't believe I didn't know this. But the default names when you put down a station or I think it said logistics bots as well. Their default names are named after people that supported the game in Kickstarter. And there was one that was like Your Suffering Child was the name of a random stop. If that's your name and you want to name a hub or a stop after yourself in this series, I'm probably not going to allow that for obvious reasons. But also, and I'm going to sound slightly anti-egotistical here, don't name it after me as well. You know, that's not going to get you anywhere. Because I could just go around and name everything after me if I was that kind of person. But I like people having their own ideas and then seeing that their ideas matter. So don't just think, oh, you can get around it by naming it after me instead, because you can't, I'm afraid. Flattery gets you nowhere on my channel. As much as I appreciate nice comments, trying to do things like that, it always feels like someone's trying to gain the upper hand when they do something like that. So from now on, and always has been in fact, no naming after me. So that one that was on the list, M4J Central, I'm actually removing from the list for that exact reason. But we are now going to use some of Vince Gio's suggestions. The first one of which is Orma Drive. And the notes are bus stop, suburban residential area, regular houses. Now I'm not sure quite what you mean by regular houses, or even what an irregular house on this game would be, but I like the idea of something like this becoming your stop. So Orma Drive. There we go. And we'll mark that off right now. John Street, again, I'll need some clarification on that. I'll be a bit blunt in the notes. Don't be offended by that. Moana Drive. Now, naming things after Disney films. Am I going to have to come up with a rule for that as well? I'm not against the idea, but I think I'm going to skip over that one for now. Because, you know, how far will I go? Stadium Way. A transit stop near the baseball stadium. Well, I hate to break it to you people. And trust me, I hate this as much as everyone else. I nearly restarted the game because of it. But we lost the baseball stadium. I think it's one of those ones where the building got demolished and new ones got put in. Although they demolished it and replaced it with houses, which I think is really unacceptable. So I could still name like this set of stops here, Stadium Way. And we could say, you know, the stadium used to be there, but then the baseball team moved out of town and, you know, the stadium went with it. Or didn't literally go with it, but you know what I mean. They bulldozed it because they weren't hosting baseball games anymore. So we could have this as Stadium Way. So you're going to be Stadium Way A, and you are going to be Stadium Way B. If a new baseball stadium springs up, and I'm not actually sure what the random spawn generation for the baseball stadium is, whether it does work or not. But if it does come back again somewhere else in the city, then I'm happy to move Stadium Way to wherever that stadium ends up being. I'm getting really frustrated with this as well. I think I might just add a bus lane to the freeway to stop this from happening, and it's that. Look, what's he doing? What's she doing? Let's not assume everyone's a he in this game, Mark. What is she doing? Apart from being a a waste of oxygen in terms of the city. Stop doing that. Don't do that again. That's why all my vehicles keep breaking down and my depots run out of vehicles. It's nothing to do with my traffic management. It's got everything to do with the fact that the game just decides to have random vehicles stop. Apparently it's to do with invisible vehicles blocking the roads, but I mean, does that excuse work? I don't know. Also, we got lots of vehicles that are breaking down, and I'm guessing that is my fault as opposed to someone else's. I'm also going to save the game really quickly. I have no idea if this actually has an impact on whether the game saves or not, but I do find I have a higher success rate when I bring it out over here, because there's less for the game to be processing at one time if you're over where there's no vehicles or streets or anything like that. There we go, see, it worked. Back to the naming. So Stadium Way is done. Waterbus Avenue and Trolley Drive I'm also going to skip over if you don't mind, because I've never been to a city in my life where a stop is named after a form of transport. I cannot think off the top of my head where that's the case. You might have something, so like in Australia there is, I think it's Elizabeth Quay now, I believe it's called Elizabeth Quay Bus Station, and you know, it's got bus station in the name, but the real name is Elizabeth Quay, and then it's denoting that it's the bus station, because there is a train station there as well. So Waterbus Avenue and Trolley Drive I'm going to skip over. We are back with Young Wee, actually. Lansdowne. Preferably a metro stop near a shopping centre named after a metro station in Vancouver. You are very international, Young Wee. We have got names from all over the world from you, which I do quite like. So, a metro station near a shopping centre. There's also got to be one where there's no interchanges, which is increasingly difficult, actually. So there used to be the shopping centre here, but it's been replaced with all industrial stuff, actually. It's quite depressing to see this. I'm sure this used to all be residential, and now it's all been taken over with industrial. I'm not quite sure how that happens. I also don't think we have, because we still only have those 2 metro lines. I haven't built metro for a while. That was one of the things I was pondering building in today's episode, was a new metro line. But like I said, that's not happening today, and it won't happen next week because it's my week off. So it might happen the week after my week off, unless my week off gets extended because of illness. We shall see. So where should I put it? Is there a shopping centre here? These are all schools. I mean, the education system in this city is second to none. That's for sure. Unfortunately, the transport system is severely lacking at the moment. Now, this was... Did I not rename this one? Was it this one? Oh, yeah, there you go. Downsview Park. So is there a shopping mall here? There's an office building. We could pretend that there used to be a shopping mall here, because it's not an interchange and it's not a hub. It does kind of interchange with this, but not enough for it to not be applicable for... So let's say I added an extra street, or an extra couple of streets. So if I build that there, and then build you up there like that, and then build you round like this, then this could be Lansdowne. Let's do it. So you are Lansdowne West. Oh, I've got to remind myself to not move my head too quickly. Someone remind me not to move my head too quickly. I need to come up with a better system for where I put my laptop whilst I'm doing this, because it does involve moving my head quite quickly from left to right, and that probably isn't helping things with regards to dizziness, because very rapid movements of the head is one of the common causes. Let's go do another save whilst I read off some more suggestions and then start putting them in. So I like Lansdowne. Lansdowne's a good one. We then got Stanley Park, another stop near a park of any type, park name from the largest park in Vancouver. So we're still in Vancouver, lovely. We then go back to Hong Kong though. City 1. A stop of any type, although metro is preferred, by a residential tower block. This is named after a metro station in Hong Kong, which in turn is named after a residential development there. I can't help thinking, is there a City 1 in London as well? I know there's one, The City, which is on the corner of Hyde Park and was formerly the Duke of Westminster, Duke of Wellington, not Westminster, Duke of Wellington's house. Was one The City, or One London, I think it was. One London. Still is. Yeah, it's still got that address. I'm thinking over here. Because, I mean, they're technically office building. There's a couple of tenements here, I suppose. There's a big office building there. Is it served by Metro? Oh, it is. Served by Route 401. Where's the... Oh, it must be this one. So would you be against the idea of me calling this City 1? I suppose it's not. It's in an industrial area, that one, actually. Let me regroup and reevaluate that one. Because I realise how stupid it is as I'm saying it. It's difficult to do it in City North, actually, because every other stop is either an interchange or a hub of some description. So this one has already been taken up with Hyde Park. This one, it's kind of a hub. It's more than just a simple stop, even though there's probably loads of really good, there's loads of really good apartment buildings directly above it. However, if we go this side of the river again, so this is now Lansdowne. This one here is Downsview Park. I feel like we have to put it on ice. Although you did say... Yeah, okay. A stop of any type, although metro is preferred. Tell you what, let's skip that one for now. And I'll try and do Stanley Park for you instead. Because I think Stanley Park will be a little bit easier. Because I could pick a tram stop like here. And this could become Stanley Park. What have we got under there? Oh, it's the rapid bus. I think actually that is an interchange, isn't it? That one. That is an interchange. Are there any parks on this side? Not really. Oh, does everyone like this, by the way? I'm thinking of doing this a bit more often. What my plan is actually is to turn this into a one-way road, this into a one-way road, and then have this as the median, and actually have this at ground level for a lot longer, following the road round, and then lower this stop as well, and then just have it dive underground there. I think that will work quite well. But yeah, Stanley Park. And I realise I'm wasting time here. Stanley Park. Preferably near open grassland. Oh, my monorail system needs re-evaluating as well. Actually, is Tram Square? No. Tram Square always looks like there's a problem when I zoom right out. But when you actually zoom in, there's a couple of problems with the junctions here. Why that vehicle's not moving forward, I do not know. Oh, it is now. It must have been a traffic light issue. But yeah, Stanley Park. You're annoying me. And you. It does happen. Here, over here, up here, and over here are the 4 origin stations. Actually, is this one an orange station? Origin station? No, it's not. So I think it's actually just this one and this one, thinking about it, because of the way I've built the loops. So I might spread that out a bit more. Stanley Park. Isn't Stanley Park the name of a stadium as well? Or have I made that up? I might have made that up. This tram stop, though, I'm very tempted to rename this tram stop Stanley Park. So you're Stanley Park South, and then this one is Stanley Park North. Just N. There we go. Which technically then makes this big area Stanley Park. But I'm not going to rename all the stops around it Stanley Park. Like the monorail station is going to be called something different. Which actually we could do now. If there's another good suggestion on here. Let's see. So the next one from Young Wee was Metro Town, a major metro stop, preferably by a shopping centre, namesake from a metro station. Excuse me, namesake from a metro station in Vancouver. Again, tricky because when we build more metro, then I'll come back to a lot of these. And then the final suggestion currently from Young Wee is 22nd Street. Simple wayside stop of any type, again, metro preferred, also from a metro station in Vancouver. I might at some point apply artistic license and say if it's a metro station in Vancouver, then it should be something different in this city. But, you know, I'm not going to impose that as a rule. But I might play around with different suggestions. So we're going to go back to Vince Gio, Transit Street, tram stop. Again, that doesn't make sense as a name, because transit is a form of getting around. You know, mass transit is transporting large amounts of people in a single vehicle, essentially. So that doesn't make sense as a name, particularly as a tram stop. If it was a metro station, it might make more sense, and then you could say Transit Street is the name of the hub. But again, the hub rule applies. You have to be a patron on Patreon. So I'm going to skip that one. 44th Street, though, I would use for this monorail station, but you have specifically said trolley stop. And I will say, you don't have to put something in the notes column. You don't have to specifically say this stop has to be this type. It's an optional extra, if anything. But because you have specifically said trolley stop for 44th Street, I will have to try and find a good one. Also, this hub is annoying me, so this is going to get rebuilt at some point as well. It's mainly to do with vehicle gaps here, for example. You can only fit one, maybe two buses if there's a short one in this gap, and it's really frustrating seeing all the vehicles queue around the block. I did make it all a one-way system, thinking that would help things, and it actually hasn't. It's just increased the annoyance, particularly as there's traffic light controlled junctions as well. So let's find a good trolley stop. Again, I'm thinking over here in City West. Let's do this one. Congratulations, stop number 744. You are now 44th Street. Because you were the 44th Street in City West constructed, I'm going to assume. The law of the city, we don't tend to have streets named after numbers here in the UK. Again, I can't think of a single one. It's not like in New York where it kind of makes sense in some respects, having a 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th Avenue. But then they have things like Wall Street, which I think does have a numbered avenue as well. But it's more commonly known as Wall Street, same as with Broadway. Is it 1st Avenue or 5th Avenue is the Avenue of the Americas, I think it's called. Where it gets confusing is you should have like numbered streets running north to south and then lettered streets running east to west. But you have, so you say things like on the corner of 42nd and 34th, and where the hell's that? You know, in the context of a map, how would you find that? Because they're not even put one's on the left and X is on the right. They're sort of all over the place. So it's a good system, badly executed, I think I would say. And I'm not having a dig at New York, because it's not just New York where that's the case. I've never been to America, so I'm going from what I've seen and heard from other people. So you'll have to forgive me if I'm sounding like an ignorant tourist. Okay. Oh, trolley depot 3, not enough vehicles. I can already feel my head starting to go, so I'm going to get on to the last suggestion here, and then I'm going to start wrapping things up. I've been talking for half an hour, and I think the only thing that doesn't feel funny at the moment is my throat. So bear with me 1 second. The last suggestion is again from Vince, and it's for Point Loma, which is an above-ground metro stop. Now that sounds... According to Google, there is a Point Loma Nazarene University, which is in San Diego, and Point Loma is a seaside community within the city of San Diego. So if this is Point Loma as in San Diego, Could you put that in the notes, particularly as I'm reading a news story here about something that happened in Point Loma just yesterday, in fact. And I do hope that's not what gave you the idea for the suggestion. The reason I'm not including it now is because I don't have an above ground metro stop, but I would like some clarification on that. So I'm going to put that on there as well. Because if it is something, oh, I saw it on the news and it sounded cool, read the news story first, please, because you know, someone being killed in that location is not necessarily a good inspiration for naming something after it. And I'm not saying anything about Point Loma necessarily, but you know, time and place and all that jazz. Right. Like I said, my head is starting to go a bit funny again, so I'm going to start wrapping things up here. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this episode somewhat. I know it's not my best. Looking back on it in a few years' time, like I have been doing with a lot of my videos recently, it probably makes sense in the context of the series. There was going to be another one of these episodes coming up in the near future anyway. It just happened to be a little bit sooner than planned. Hopefully in a week and a half's time I will be feeling well enough to actually be able to do big builds again. One of the advantages of doing time lapses is I can just put on some music or put on a TV show, whatever it might be, and you know, plow through 2 hours of a big build, and then you guys get to see 20 minutes of that big build, which I think is a very good system of making videos at times, actually. Particularly over the summer, when it's been really, really hot. Talking into a microphone when you can barely breathe because of the heat is actually kind of beneficial. Wait, that's not right. Talking into a microphone when you can barely breathe is not beneficial. It's frowned upon. Not having to talk into a microphone when you can barely breathe, now that's beneficial. Anyway, thank you very much, guys, for watching. Sorry that it's one of these episodes today. It's one of those things that can't be helped, unfortunately. Fingers crossed things improve in the near future, and we won't have to worry about it affecting things. I'm annoyed that this tram can't cross over to there. I might have to build a flyover or a dive under. Actually, a dive under might make more sense, perhaps, if we can avoid the metro track, which hopefully I'll be able to do. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Sorry it's not been my best video. Can't be helped. Hopefully things get better. I will enjoy my week off if I can see straight and not spend all week in bed trying to wait for the room to stop spinning. We'll have to see about that. The best place to keep up to date as to whether there's videos or not is to follow me on Twitter. So if you haven't done so already, then I urge you to do so. I know there's a lot of people that think, oh, can't be bothered to follow me on Twitter, but actually there's a lot of very useful information that I tweet out regarding live streams, video uploads, all that kind of thing. So if you're one of those people that's a bit skeptical about it, please, please, please do consider it. Believe me, it is worth it. Besides that, what else was I going to say? Oh yeah, also if you're one of those people that thinks, oh, I've got some good ideas, but I'm not really sure how well it's going to go if I put them down on the name suggestions list. There's only one real way to find out how the response is going to be, and that's to actually put it on there. So I like people's ideas. I will always find a way to get your idea into the series, unless you violate one of the rules, which I have said quite clearly, so I can't see that happening. But if you want a hub or an interchange, you have to be a supporter on Patreon. You have to be a supporter for, I think it's 2 or 3 months before you can have something named. It's not, I mean, that's really set up just to stop people, you know, being a patron for 1 month, getting what they want, and then cancelling their subscription. That's all that's for. But yeah, please add your suggestions to the list. It does depress me a little bit when I see the same 2 names, and I love those guys and their suggestions, but it would be nice to see some new faces on there as well. So please, please, please do add some ideas to the suggestions list if you haven't done so already. Besides that, hit the thumbs up button down below. Again, I'm not going to spend the next 10 minutes talking about that. One of my biggest frustrations about this channel is people keep telling me that they like what they're seeing. And it's nice that they're telling me, because it, you know, I'm still knowing that you're liking it. But every time, all of my videos end the same way, with me saying, if you like the video and if you're enjoying the series, hit the like button. And you have no idea what a difference it makes hitting that like button. It takes 5 seconds out of your time, and it can make the difference between my video appearing first on the list and 101st on the list when people search Cities in Motion 2 on YouTube. So please, 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 if you are enjoying the content, as well as telling me about it, because it's always nice to get first-hand feedback, just take those few seconds of your time to hit the thumbs up button. It really, 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 really is appreciated when people do that. And as I've always said, this series is dependent on 4 numbers: view count, like count, subscriber count, and interaction count. The interaction count is the only figure you guys can't see. It's the only one I'm keeping sort of private at the moment. The other 3 you can see. So I need all of those numbers to be rising at a consistent, if not exponential level for this series to continue. The series will continue for at least another 10 episodes, but I do want to see a continual growth in those 4 areas. So please, please, please do hit the like button if you want this series to continue. The best way to speak is with your actions. So, you know the phrase, actions speak louder than words. It really does apply, believe it or not. It really does apply. But yeah, comment down below if you haven't done so already. If you haven't subscribed, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Tell your friends as well as taking 5 seconds to hit the like button. Take 5 minutes and talk to your friends about the series as well. It really, really, again, makes a massive difference. Word of mouth, even in 2018, word of mouth is probably the best way to spread a channel, a TV show, a film, whatever it might be. Because ultimately, people aren't going to watch something if no one else is, and the only way they're going to know about it is if they're told about it. So, share it. You know, share it however you like. Don't break the law, but share it however you like. Besides that, it really is appreciated. And with all that said and done, thank you very much, guys, once again for watching. And until next time, I will see you soon.